The story of Fayetteville, North Carolina and the surrounding area spans hundreds of years. It's a place where people came seeking opportunity in the 1700s, an area where Revolutionary War heroes on both sides of the conflict lived and died, where men wearing blue or gray fought for their beliefs. It was a bustling center of trade and transportation, and later a place that became famous for the army post on the outskirts of town. Today, the Fayetteville area is a special place unlike any other. It's a friendly place with people from all over the world creating a rich mixture of ethnic communities. Whether you're a first-time visitor or you've lived here for years, you're invited to discover for yourself what makes the Fayetteville area one renowned for its history, heroes, and hometown feeling. The Fayetteville area's rich history is fascinating. This area started out much like many other early colonial communities in the United States. People of various nationalities crossed the Atlantic to the New World in search of freedom. First, the English came. Then, a large group of Highland Scots sailed up the Cape Fear River. Here, they discovered open land and thousands of acres of longleaf pines. They had found the perfect place to call home, and they called it Cross Creek. Many more settlers came up the river, and another little town called Campbellton was created about a mile away. Both Campbellton and Cross Creek were hotbeds of politics during the American Revolution. A year before the Declaration of Independence, inspired patriots met at a tavern near the corner of Bow and Person Streets. They defiantly signed what is commonly known as the Liberty Point Resolves. The signers pledged to go forth and support each other against British aggression. After the American Revolution, the two towns were joined, and the name was permanently changed to Fayetteville to honor the Marquis de Lafayette. Fayetteville is the first city named for the Marquis and is the only namesake city he actually visited. Greeting Lafayette during his visit was the Fayetteville Independent Light Infantry, organized in 1793. The FILI is the oldest North Carolina military unit in continuous service. Visit the grave of Isaac Hammond, a free black veteran of the American Revolution who became the first fifer of the FILI. It was his dying request that he be buried on the parade ground, where he could be near the company in spirit. Today, the FILI serves as North Carolina's official historic military command. The FILI Museum is open by appointment for guided tours. Another important event took place in the 1790s. Henry Evans, a black Methodist preacher, came to Fayetteville on his way to Charleston. He decided to stay to minister to the people of the area. This was the traditional beginning of Methodism in Fayetteville. His body lies entombed beneath the chancel of the church, built on the original site in 1893. In the early 1800s, Fayetteville prospered and grew as a center for trade and transportation. Riverboats went up and down the river carrying goods and passengers. Hundreds of buildings lined the busy streets of the bustling town. 3 buildings of note that still exist from this age can be found at Heritage Square on Dick Street. The Sanford House, built around 1800, was once the central office of the U.S. Bank in North Carolina. For many years it was a private residence, and in 1945 was purchased by the Women's Club. Just next door is the Oval Ballroom, built sometime between 1818 and 1823 for a wedding reception, and later moved to this site. The third building on the site is the Baker Haig Nimitz House, built around 1804. It features a unique barrel staircase. All 3 properties are open by appointment. The beautiful State House, which once stood where the Market House now stands, was where North Carolina ratified the U.S. Constitution, chartered the University of North Carolina, and ceded the western lands to form the state of Tennessee. And it was here that Fayetteville, one of the temporary capitals of North Carolina, missed becoming the permanent capital by a single vote. It was a prosperous era for this community. Then the unthinkable happened. On Sunday, May 29, 1831, a fire started in the kitchen of James Kyle's house on the northwest corner of Market Square. The fire spread rapidly through the wooden buildings and homes, engulfing the State House, and then spreading out from the center of town, burning every building along the way. The fire raged for 6 long hours, destroying more than 600 structures. More than 1/3 of the population was left homeless. It was the most devastating fire disaster in America up to that time. The entire nation was in sympathy. Money and supplies poured in from all over the country to help the citizens rebuild, and rebuild they did. The Market House, one of the most photographed buildings in North Carolina, was built on the site of the old State House and served as our seat of government for more than 70 years. The building has served as a public market, art museum, library, and bank, among other things. It is the only national landmark in Fayetteville. First Presbyterian Church was rebuilt using the surviving brick walls from the fire. The steeple bell, still in use today, bears a Latin inscription which translates, "I perished in the flames on the 29th of May, 1831. I rose from the ashes through the generosity of friends in the Second Presbyterian Church in Troy, New York." St. John's Episcopal Church was also rebuilt on its original walls after the Great Fire. The church is basically the same with one exception. 10 pyramidal spires replaced the one tall spire that housed the town clock. The Belden Horn House, too, was rebuilt in 1831. It was later sold to a prominent physician who boarded patients in at least one room, making it the first hospital in Fayetteville. Several years later, James Kyle rebuilt his home of handmade brick. Determined that his home would never again be destroyed by fire, Mr. Kyle built his walls 18 inches thick and filled them with sand. From 1963 to 1990, the Kyle House was used as offices for the mayor and city management. One property that escaped the Great Fire is Cool Spring Tavern, believed to be the oldest existing building in Fayetteville. The tavern was a popular gathering place and in 1789 housed the delegates who ratified the U.S. Constitution. Several years before the Civil War, plank roads became the superhighways of the day, and in this area they extended like the spokes of a wheel, with Fayetteville as the center. Fayetteville became a boom town. Then the Civil War erupted. Many important Civil War sites are in the area. The Fayetteville Arsenal was constructed high on a bluff overlooking the city. The arsenal was controlled by the Confederacy during the Civil War, and that made Fayetteville a target for General William T. Sherman. Sherman occupied Fayetteville March 11 through 14, 1865, and destroyed the Fayetteville Arsenal, among other structures. The entire arsenal was razed to the ground by Sherman's engineers. Nothing was left standing. All that remains today of the arsenal are some of the foundations. A modern ghost tower approximates the shape and size of one of 4 original 8-sided arsenal towers. The history of the arsenal and Sherman's occupation of Fayetteville is told through exhibits at the Museum of the Cape Fear, adjacent to the arsenal site. After destroying key buildings and businesses in the area, Sherman's Union soldiers left Fayetteville and headed north. Along the way, they met Confederate resistance. The Avery'sboro battlefield is the site of a fierce battle where Union and Confederate soldiers fought for 2 long and bloody days. It was the prelude to the Battle of Bentonville, the last major battle of the Civil War. The Avery'sboro Battlefield Museum tells the story of that battle and the sacrifices made on both sides. You can view 3 houses, all owned by members of the Smith family, which were used as field hospitals for both Confederate and Union troops during and after the battle. After the Civil War, the Fayetteville area began to rebuild again. Fayetteville and nearby Hope Mills, which had been important cotton mill centers before the Civil War, recovered and burgeoned after the war ended. Some of the bricks salvaged from the Fayetteville Arsenal were used to construct the exterior of the 1868 McPherson Presbyterian Church. Another historic church of note is St. Joseph's Episcopal Church. It is known for its exquisite Tiffany windows and for one of the oldest pipe organs still in use in America today. One restored home open to the public for guided tours is the 1897 Poe House. The restored home preserves life as it was in the late 19th century. The Poe House is part of the Museum of the Cape Fear Historical Complex, which includes the Arsenal ruins, 2 restored homes, and the museum. The Roaring Twenties were a time of great prosperity in the region. Many of the buildings in our downtown area were built during that time. Today, you can take a walking tour through Fayetteville's historic downtown district to see the restored buildings and visit interesting shops and restaurants, which are a part of our exciting Renaissance. About the same time that downtown was prospering, Camp Bragg was established on the outskirts of Fayetteville. The very next year, Pope Field was named. During World War II, Fort Bragg served as a training ground for all 5 airborne divisions. As thousands of brave men and women poured in, the area grew to meet the needs of these soldiers and airmen. The Atlantic Coastline Depot became one of the busiest in the nation for new recruits coming in to train and soldiers shipping out to war. The station is still used today as a stop for Amtrak. Other fascinating historic sites are scattered across the city and county and tell the story of our exciting and sometimes tumultuous history. But there would be no history and no Fayetteville if it weren't for the heroes who have helped make this area great. Heroes of yesterday and today. Some of our earliest heroes rest in the oldest cemetery in Fayetteville. Cross Creek No. 1, listed on the National Register, contains the graves of some of Fayetteville's most prominent citizens dating back to the late 1700s. Several graves from the Civil War are located here, surrounding the oldest Civil War monument in the state. Heroes of the modern wars can be remembered at several area museums and sites. Fort Bragg, home of the 82nd Airborne Division and the Special Forces, has 2 museums well worth a visit. More than 3,000 artifacts from World War I through present day are housed at the 82nd Airborne Division War Memorial Museum on Fort Bragg. The JFK Special Warfare Museum maintains a large collection of weapons, military art, international cultural items, and a behind-the-scenes look at unconventional warfare. The multi-million-dollar Airborne and Special Operations Museum, located in historic downtown Fayetteville, is devoted to the daring exploits of the heroic Airborne and Special Operations units. It was at the grand opening of this museum that another North Carolina hero, General Hugh Shelton, reminded Americans that when the world dials 911, the call is answered at Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base. Also located in historic downtown Fayetteville is the North Carolina Veterans Park, the state's first park dedicated to veterans from all branches of the military. This park features a 3,500 square foot visitor center where people can learn about the many heroic deeds of North Carolina veterans throughout our country's rich history. Just across the street is Freedom Memorial Park, honoring our community's fallen heroes of modern conflicts, beginning with World War I. It is a reminder to everyone that freedom isn't free. A hero of a different sort is none other than baseball great Babe Ruth. George Herman Ruth got his nickname the Babe while he was on a farm team in Fayetteville in 1914, and the Babe hit his first professional homer right here in Fayetteville. Of course, the Fayetteville area is filled with many private citizens and public servants who are our own hometown heroes of today. There's a teacher who gave one of her kidneys to a student to save his life, a stranger who risked his life to save a teen from drowning, an 8-year-old boy who braved the flames in his burning house to rescue his mother and 2 brothers, a group of young people who gave up their summer at the beach to build houses for the homeless, a woman who dedicated her time and energy to preserving our green spaces, a Medal of Honor recipient who risked his own life to protect his comrades and hold the line during the Korean War, and scores of soldiers and airmen who risk their lives daily around the world protecting freedom. Our community abounds with an incredible diversity of friendly people who give the area a warm and welcoming hometown feeling. And what could be more hometown than being designated an All-America City? How about receiving the honor 3 times, with neighboring Fort Bragg being named an Army Community of Excellence? It just shows that we've got hometown spirit and then some. We celebrate that hometown spirit through a variety of festivals and celebrations throughout the year. The Martin Luther King celebration honors the life of the civil rights hero with a parade, concerts, lectures, plays, and exhibits. The Dogwood Festival brings excitement to Fayetteville with a street fair and dancing, live music, arts and crafts, and a driving tour through the city on Dogwood Trail. Glory Days, our hometown celebration on Memorial Day, celebrates our proud bond with the military community, past and present. The Cumberland County Fair is one of the premier expositions in southeastern North Carolina. Enjoy live entertainment, dozens of food vendors, more than 150 exhibits and rides, livestock shows, and contests. The International Folk Festival, complete with a parade of nations as well as food and live entertainment from around the world, honors all the nationalities that comprise Cumberland County and make it the fourth most diverse community in the nation. Oktoberfest is a 10-day fair at Fort Bragg with carnival rides, a midway, and live entertainment. We celebrate and honor our military neighbors on Veterans Day with a parade of military units. And on Dickens' holiday, the day after Thanksgiving, the whole community turns out to light the town Christmas tree, signaling the beginning of the holiday season. Every fourth Friday of the month, Fayetteville's historic downtown comes alive with an art celebration and gallery crawl. Join thousands of others who enjoy live music, free food and beverages, and art of all types during this monthly event. Of course, every day is a celebration at Fascinate You Children's Museum, where fun, exploration, and entertainment live year-round. You'll revel in our hometown spirit when you attend any of our exciting sporting events. Whether it's football, basketball, baseball, or hockey, we've got a team to cheer about. In addition to spectator sports, you can also enjoy playing golf in one of the top regions in the U.S., and Fayetteville is the hometown of golfers Chip Beck and Raymond and Marlene Floyd. You can putter your time away on one of dozens of courses designed by renowned legends of golf. And speaking of greens, take some time to explore our many beautiful green spaces. Our community boasts more than 24 city, county, and private parks scattered throughout the area for hiking, fishing, horseback riding, or picnicking. Take a walk on the wild side on the Cape Fear River Trail. A part of the East Coast Greenway system, this paved trail is perfect for walking, jogging, biking, or rollerblading along the Cape Fear River. And you can cool off or show off during hot summer days in any of several water parks. Cross Creek Linear Park is a magnificent greenway that winds through downtown Fayetteville, highlighting the natural beauty of the area while connecting historic sites and points of interest along the way. One of our great natural treasures is the Cape Fear Botanical Garden. Situated on 85 acres overlooking Cross Creek and the Cape Fear River, the garden includes the beautiful Wyatt Visitors Pavilion Complex, a vintage farmhouse, expansive gardens, and winding nature trails. Another treasure in Cumberland County is our thriving arts community with a national reputation for excellence. The Arts Council of Fayetteville-Cumberland County is located on Hay Street in the Arts Center. Among other things, the Arts Council sponsors Fourth Friday, sends artists into the schools, displays art of all types and media, and holds juried art competitions. The Fayetteville Symphony Orchestra is the oldest community-supported orchestra in the state and performs throughout the year, both indoors and out. Take in some great theater at one of several stages in town. You'll have a chance to see everything from Shakespeare and Chicago to homegrown cutting-edge plays with actors from around the world and across town. Fayetteville is also home to the North Carolina State Ballet. Productions are scheduled throughout the year and showcase dancers of all ages from around the state. All types of talent can be enjoyed in our award-winning Crown Center. Recognized as one of the top sporting and entertainment venues in the region, there's always something exciting happening at the Crown. You have only to look around you to see that the Fayetteville area really is filled with wonderful things to see and do. Whether you're a native, a newcomer, or a visitor, we're sure you'll see why our corner of the world is the perfect combination of history, heroes, and a hometown feeling.